All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled Why Men Shouldn't Be So Emotional. I was at work today, and while I was working, I was listening to YouTube, and I was listening to the Kanye West Charlemagne interview. And I kept hearing Kanye talking about feelings. I feel this, I feel that, I feel this, I feel that. I need to feelings. And I'm gonna sound mean when I say this, but there's a reason why they say men are supposed to be logical and women are logical and women are emotional. It's because feelings change. And it's hard to be a consistent person and to be objective and to be balanced if your direction keeps changing with your feelings, because there's a lot of things that guys understand about feelings that are men, and guys who are more so emotional, who are supposed to be men, don't get. And this is one of them. Men make commitments, and you can't break your commitments because your feelings change and that be acceptable. You know, that's not acceptable behavior. If I'm gonna do this, but you know what? I just feel I feel a whole new energy. I want to do something else. You made a commitment, and somebody's depending on you to stand on your commitment. Your feelings ain't got nothing to do with that at that particular point. That's your word. You know, a man's word is his bond. And when you have feelings concerned, your word is no good because your feelings are more important than your word. This is why men shouldn't be so emotional. The other thing is about consequences. Like, men face consequences more than anyone else because of feelings. So you can't let your feelings put you in a situation that has consequences that you're going to have to pay for. And you're not off the hook. You're not a woman. You're not a child. You don't get to change your feelings and then be absolved of the responsibility and the consequences thereof. That's not how life works. This is why men shouldn't be so emotional. This is why you shouldn't. This is why you should let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. Because if you don't, nobody's gonna have. They're gonna gauge you as too ephemeral. And that was the thing I was listening about Kanye. It's like, you know, and don't get it twisted. You can feel some type of way about certain things. We're human beings. But we're not supposed to be operating by our emotions solely. We have to be able to compartmentalize our feelings and emotions to get things done. You know, people work on a job when they're happy, and people work on a job when they're depressed. You know, it's hard to work with a person who can only work when they're happy, but then can't work when they're depressed, because that puts a lot of pressure on everybody else, because now they only show up when they feel like it. And men can't do that. We can't just show up when we feel like it, or not show up when we feel like it. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. One of the other things is this. Because your word is supposed to be your bond, people are not going to forget that you're emotional. And people are not going to give you a pass because of it. You know, I was in my feelings that day, so, you know, I acted like that, but what's happening? No, it's not what's happening. Because, you know, your change in feelings can cost another person And the other thing about that is you don't really live in reality when you're living in your emotions. You can't really see how the world works because you're so emotional about it. It doesn't register to you that you're arrogant. And what I mean by that is this: when you're emotional, it's it's a narcissistic trait because everybody else has to deal with your emotions because you're not dealing with your emotions, which from a male point of view means you're out of control because it's not everybody else's in the world's job to cater to your emotions. That's an inside job. So if you can't control yourself, how can you control anything? Like the first thing you need to be a master of is yourself. And as a man, if you can't master your emotions, you can't master yourself. Therefore, how can you be a leader if you can't even lead yourself in the right direction? Now you can be like, the world has infinite possibilities. You can be overly emotional and successful, but once again, even with that, people can love your genius and creativity and get tired of your emotions. There's gonna come a point when people say, that's enough. We've put up with too much so far. Because let me tell you something about life, especially with men. If you show up and do your job consistently, that's more great than you being great and erratic. Because see, people can depend on showing up and doing your job for a longer period of time than they can depend on being great and erratic. See, greatness is a long process. And some people are great in spurts because it's a process, but they're committed to the process. Now, some people can be exceptionally great, but they're so erratic that their windows are smaller because it's not that they're not great, but they can't facilitate relationships long enough to stay great for a long period of time because they're too erratic. They bring the chaos that they create in their own mind. They spill it out into the world and spill it out to their relationships and spill it out to the people around them, and then it goes into their circles and friends and families, and it just creates a toxic environment. Like, men who are overly emotional are toxic, and that becomes a problem because you don't realize that your needs will never be met because you're too emotional. And that's one thing that men need to understand. Like, if you're too emotional, you have to take into consideration you can only fill the void that has you emotional. Nobody else. And when you need to feel a certain way to do certain things, you need to feel a certain way to do this. You need to feel this, you need to see a certain thing. A person needs to say these things to you or do these things for you. The vibe that you're looking for, it comes from peace. And a lot of guys work, and men in general, that's where the logic comes from. You actually can work better from a balanced, peaceful state than you can work at any other state. It makes you more efficient and effective. Because if you're still and at peace and not emotional, you can be open to everything that the universe has. Because you can be able to take it in and let it, and it doesn't throw you off balance. It doesn't have you too anxious because you're open to it, you take it in, it's like, okay, I can do this. I can do that. You're better focused when you're balanced and not emotional. You see, when you let your emotions control you to a degree, you lack focus, because you can only be focused if you are triggered in certain ways. You know, you hear people talk about this all the time. They use adversity as fuel for the fire, and they channel that energy in a different direction. You can only channel that energy in a different direction if you're not emotional or as emotional. When you know, okay, I'm gonna take this energy from here and I'm gonna turn this negative energy into something positive. I'm gonna take this positive energy here, and I'm gonna be able to create something neutral. I'm gonna take this positive energy over here, and I'm gonna be able to express why these things are negative in this way. Like, you can actually manipulate and create your own. You can be a better creator from a place of balance. You know, this is why I say men shouldn't be so emotional, because when you that emotional, at the end of the day, emotional people don't take inventory of the lines they cross, the people they hurt, the situations that they create, because they don't look at it as them being destructive. They look at it as I'm being. And I should have said this earlier. This is the biggest problem. As a man, you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to like, how can I not be? Like, when you say I just want to be. I just want to be free. I just want to be. Be goes in so many different directions. As a man, you have to be I am. You know, the biblical thing is I am that I am. When you say I am something, that means you can stand on a solid foundation. When you just want to be, that's just anything. Like, it has no foundation. It's just everywhere. I want to be this. I want to be this feeling. I want to be that. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do it. But when you say this is who I am, then you can be whatever you want to be because you're rooted in knowing who you are first. If you try to be without knowing who you are, then you have no direction, and that's why your emotions control you. I'm at 12 minutes. I got other things to do tonight, so we out, yo. Peace.